Madhouse Podcasting Network.
Guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Behind the Mask. We are here with Lucio Sagasta, aka Hostel from Ghost Town Streets, Not Scary Farm. Dude, what's up, man?
Hey, how you guys doing? Nice to see you all. You guys looks like some familiar faces.
Yeah.
I feel like I just talked to one for 3 hours recently.
I know, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to you. Do you like to do them in person mostly?
Yeah, like for me, like I kind of what my experience is just like virtually. I've done it so many times virtually because I've done it with the Nights of Horror from Anthony, and we used to do a podcast called Cinema Dudes. It's when the difference between that and then going in person, it was kind of like way different. I was like, oh, I can get a better connection in some way because I don't know, the connection between in person, I get a better, it's a challenging for me, and I feel like just so much better just talking to them, and I ask more questions, and it kind of probably just me look at my body image. I just make sure I'm making sure I'm eye contacting them, or in my body posture.
He's lying because he barely looked at me for 3 hours.
No, I was like just making sure. I was looking around like, oh, like,
yeah, he was looking around the room and looking down at the mic. And
like that's me. Like those are my flaws, and then I'm just working on those. But I feel a lot. I like them. I like doing that a lot better. I'm trying to do it virtually one day. I think it will get to a point where I do that. But yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though, Lucio. The thing is like, if Jeremy didn't live up north. If he was still down here in Orange County, we'd probably do him live too.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And then
it's easier for us here.
Yeah, and then the fact that when it's not on camera, and it's all audio, it's a lot, not so much pressure for me. So like when on camera, it's like, oh god, now I have to not only like make this body posture like a lot better, but I have to make sure that the audience knows that I'm making sure I'm making eye contact, and I'm talking, I'm speaking, and not looking like my jaw's like dropping or I look asleep.
You also have to watch your facial expressions.
Yeah. So basically, what you're talking about, in one word, stage fright.
It is very much so.
Everything
is all stage fright. It is very much so. I the same thing when I was a kid. Like I used to sing I remember singing on stage this rap song, and someone recorded for me. I think my mom did, and I looked so lousy just singing because I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. Right. And then she was like, "Oh my god, you look adorable." And I looked at it and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "What is this?" It looked like I was in misery and like looked so scared out of my mind. I'm like holding a microphone and I'm singing like crazy, crazy, crazy.
It's that bias. It's
Your
that
mom's
bias.
supposed to tell you look adorable.
Exactly. It's bias. You can never take friends' criticism, to heart or family. Like you get your true criticism with people that don't know you.
They tell you that, hey, you look great today. I'm like, shut up.
Nobody has the balls to tell you you look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
except for me to Scott, but
Yeah, I prefer for sure the criticism very much so.
That's why Scott and I are friends for so long. We'll tell each other, dude, you look like an idiot. What are you doing?
Yeah,
or vice versa.
Very much.
Well,
so.
yeah, I mean, okay, I'm gonna bring back the story of Spirit Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
So, Spirit Awakens Pasadena, it's a little bit crazy shit show beginning, right? Like before opening and whatnot. So he and I get there early. We go across to the plaza to get something to eat. And he was already being a cranky bitch.
Oh my god.
So and we go down and sit down. He starts on a tirade right away. He starts complaining about everything, and then
you're missing a lot.
I'm giving him the synopsis. So
you're missing it, Eric.
Your synopsis makes me look like a dick, dude.
He was hangry, big time hangry.
It was bad.
It's like out of control. And he didn't, he's being like Willem Dafoe, not on Snickers. So he's talking, and he asks for chili killies, And what did you say? No what?
With no tortilla chips.
No tortilla chips, and that's the basis of chilaquiles, right?
That's basically what makes it chilaquiles. And I was like,
oh my god!
It was, you know what? Because for some reason in my head I was like, I don't want a fucking crap ton of carbs. I was like, I need fucking protein. Like, I don't want a lot of carbs because I was on a very particular diet.
Yeah, it was on a low carb diet.
And I tried to maintain that, and the guy was like totally gave me like a fucking snooty response, which I felt was out of place, and it just pissed me off. That is what fucking really set my hanger off right there, was his fucking response. He's like, oh, so you basically just want eggs? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, you motherfucker? I was pissed.
I would agree. The guy was a little bit sarcastic. I would have probably said something too, but he was already angry before that. And it got to the point where he's just bitching for like 2 minutes after the guy left. I go, dude, you need to fucking chill out because you're starting to annoy me.
And I did, and really at that point I did, because Scott doesn't get irritated. He's never been irritated by me ever. So I like out of all within all these years we've known each other, that response I was like, okay, I need to sit back. I gotta chill.
Take a downer here. I was the same way when I was really kind of wanting to eat just protein, not carbs, because I heard the Frio Brio was just the horrible thing in the world. Yeah, exactly.
Disgusting.
And then I went over and I was like, what can I get like besides salad, obviously? And then I was like, I'll just grab a beef patty. And then I just would grab 2 beef patties. This is when you're around, Scott. And I would add 2 beef patties. I was sat down and I was cutting them up and I was eating them. And then everyone was looking around. Went up to me, Vi Lopez, and he went up to me and goes, what the fuck is that? I was like, it's beef patty. He goes, dude, that looks like shit, dude. He goes like, And then I remember grabbing the veggie patty. And the veggie patty, I ripped open. I didn't know what the veggie patty had inside during the time because I was an idiot. And then I opened it. I was like, it was filled with like beans inside. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then, and that still gave me the stomach aches. It was so bad. Yeah, that was my protein.
It's the oils and stuff. It's the oils and stuff that they use back then.
Oh yeah, it's that oil, and I and there was times where they would give me a dry patty. And I had to put sauce in it. Like, I was like filled with sugar. I was like, God damn, dude, I don't want it. It was bad.
Didn't I tell you about that? Because that's what Wade and I used to do all the time. We used to eat hamburger patties, a couple hamburger patties each, and pickles.
Yeah, I remember because I asked you were like, because I think you were the only one that was in shape during the time out of in the zone. I was like, hey man, like, so what do you eat? And he goes, yeah, some like beef patties and then just eat that. And I'm like, oh, cool. Then I remember like grabbing that, or I grabbed cheese with it too. I just because like some cholesterols, and then like and it just still didn't give me no difference. I was like, this is like not even helping me. I was still want to eat because I was like, God, I want bread so badly. And that was beforehand, like before I was not taking my diet really seriously. I was like barely taking it, like just doing my diet, like taking seriously my diet. Yeah. It was horrible.
See, in that scenario, when you're burning so much fuel in the course of a short amount of time, taking a little carbs isn't going to kill you because you're going to burn it all off.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
You know? Yeah, you need a little bit of carbs anyway.
I mean, that's when you should be really loading up on the carbs, is during haunt.
Yeah, I do very little. Like when it was this past year, I did very like minimal of like carbs to just get some in and not too much. Yeah. And I made sure like this is all gonna burn out, and I only did that just about like 2-3 hours beforehand. I started.
So it helps your body metabolize it a little bit.
Yeah, so that's when I did that, and then I just had like after that all the vitamins and minerals and everything. I just like put that in before I went off. Yeah. So yeah, took a little more serious than like before I started with the whole beef patty thing.
We went on to a hangry and a hanger rant.
Hanger rant, hanger off tangent rant.
Exactly. Made me look like a dickhead, but that's all right. I know the context.
All right. No, I get it.
What's funny is what helped me tone. What helped me tone my irritation down? 4 cups of coffee at breakfast. that day, but damn, I was wired for about 2 hours after that.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Dude,
okay, I'm good.
I just don't get what the people that I was gonna bring this up too with this whole people that drink Monsters, and that's so much sugar, and they drink a bunch of those, and they smoke vapes that look like fleshlights, and I'm like, what the what are you smoking?
Same thing.
I'm like, dude, you guys are smoking vapes, and I'm all like, I mean, I do it time to time, but like, they're like blowing a freaking a fog out, and I'm like, and then they're like, yeah, man, I'm about to start the day, and I'm about to slide. I'm like, okay, cool. I hope you get
drinking 2 or 3 Monsters a night.
Yeah. I hope you
have fun
cough
with
a
that.
bunch. Yeah, have fun with that. I'll see you in first aid, dog. You
Exactly. Well, I'll see you when you're asleep halfway through the night.
Yeah, exactly. They probably are like dead. They are drained by the first hour.
Yeah.
And you know, same thing with like C4. That C4 thing was just like.
Well, that's pre-workout. That's why it's not supposed to stay with you.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh no!
Not for 8 hours.
there was one particular, I won't name her, but like she had C4. She did the whole dry scoop, and then drink it, which I don't get at all. For people that work out or in do fitness, I've seen people do it, and I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know how you live. And then they scoop it and then they drink the water. Yeah. This girl, I think she did too much for her body weight, and that caused her to like jitter, but like jitter too much, and she got the shakes, and she had to go to first aid, and she was already like drained. But this was the recent season. And I was like, oh god, like it's scary. It's like
that stuff isn't designed to take scoop like that. You're supposed to put it in water.
Yeah,
to dilute it. Kind of metabolize it.
Yeah. People do that. They take it like a powder shot because a lot of times they don't want to drink, because in order for you to get the full scoop, you have to drink all the water. Yeah. So if you stick it into like a regular 6 ounce or 8 ounce bottle, then it's not a big deal. But people usually have the big hydro flasks, so they take the shot and then they wash it down, so that way they don't have to drink their whole thing of water.
Exactly.
It's just
the thing is, it's stupid because it's designed for like 8 ounces, right? Yeah. You can do 12 ounces, still get the full amount, and you drink it over the time while you're getting prepared.
Exactly.
It gets into your body, and when you're out there, you're doing this.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're in the gym, it's different. Now, speaking for haunt, that's one thing. Like, I would put it into a 16 ounce thing and just drink the 16 ounces before I go out on streets. But when you're in the gym, you got to get that energy.
There's a difference between having it for an hour versus 8 hours.
Exactly.
Like that's why, like, for me, when this past season I did like 150 milligrams of like caffeine, and then I had a liquid IV. I don't know if you guys are familiar with liquid IV. I've had that. I took one before I started. Like, I went out, and then that kept me running. And then if I was just drained or I needed to like hydrate, I drank a lot of water, obviously, but like I had like another liquid IV packet, so I'll drink that, and that's just like liquid IV just keeps you hydrated. And then plus you get like
electrolytes in it too,
very high electrolytes. And then I got the multiplier one. It was like a it was it's immune support one. So I got that. So I had like vitamin C, like immune support, zinc. So everything was just like good for me, especially during the time of the pandemic too. It helped out so much. So it helped me. And then I had one at the end of the night just to kind of like make sure I got home like not so tired, and that would help me hydrate for like another like maybe hour or two. So it worked out. I encouraged people to do it. I told people when I was getting in shape, when I was like losing 30 pounds during 2021, and I made sure I telling you guys I recommend it. I got Aaron Frame involved. He loves it so much. I got him involved to do it. I got Vi to do it, and I got all these other people like to do it. I got Virus was using the same one, liquid IV, but it was the multiplier, which was the energy multiplier. So I had green matcha ginger. So that one's like an energy, very high energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've used that before I worked out too. That was a good one. But he uses that before he goes out there. That's why he was a freaking wild child over there.
Yeah. Ginseng tablets too work really good.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to try everything, like a good healthy source of everything, to test out. But no one, no one wants to do that. Everyone's people are lazy these days.
No, and it's not just that, they just have bad diets.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And like, it's, if you're eating right and you eat the right foods before and even on your lunch or break in the middle of the night, you'll be fine. Just drink your water. Maybe have a Gatorade to get those electrolytes up, to kind of speed that up. But
that's a good one too.
You don't really need all that crap. Like, if I were to go back, I wouldn't be doing that. Because I would be taking my meals. Obviously, I won't eat not food, but you got to take the proper foods. But you just need that. You just need the right foods.
Now, grandly, I've done my part of like all the shitty food and all the sodas and everything. I've done my part on that. And that's why I kind of evolved to like eating correctly, eating right. And that was personally for me overall. But like when Haunt started, I needed to like make sure I was not dehydrated in the middle of like the night, and I was not like laying on the ground near my Haunt box or my chair was at, and just like laying there. People were wondering like, oh, is he like, what's wrong with him? But I made sure
you dead?
Yeah, they were like wondering like, oh, hey, what happened to all this endurance, man? And I was like, I'm freaking dead. I'm like dying, dude. And it sucked, but I learned so much from it. It was a big lesson for me. Yeah.
Well, now that we gave everybody a little history lesson on what you should do and not do.
Yeah. Remember to drink water.
That's why I'm so adamant about, teaching my team and the people I train that, it's not just about the active sliding. There's a lot of work that goes into it beforehand.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about sliding. It's about doing Haunt, whether you're a slider or not. You're expending so much energy, so you got to eat the right foods to fuel the body.
Yeah.
Taking the right amount of liquids.
Definitely. I get it. I get that. Yeah, very much so.
All right. Well, now that we're 30 minutes in, let's talk about let's talk about your Haunt career.
Let's do it.
All right. So, what got you started?
Well, like kind of a long story a little bit, but like going back to the background, I used to hate Halloween. I was not a big fan. Despite I thought like everyone that liked it, which my sister did, she was a big fan of Halloween. I thought everyone was the devil. I was like, I did not like any. I did not like it. I just did not like it just because I went to places that were like that to get candy, because I was more like the bright side of Halloween. So like, I was like, oh, like I'd rather wear like the Woody from Toy Story versus wearing this like dark skeleton person.
Gotcha.
It was very That's like funny. I wore like me and my brother wore the Woody and the Buzz Lightyear. I wore the Woody suit, but like I was scared because like there was one time I went to a house completely dark, but there was a red light right in front of the door, and all of a sudden like they were like, oh, we should go in and go grab candy, and then all of a sudden you hear this guy go and it like starts laughing, but there was a chair right in the corner, this guy in a dark suit, and he was just scaring us. And I was like, oh, I was, that's the first time I got terrified of like grabbing any candy. So every time I go to see a house that was so dark when I was a kid, I was like, I'm not going there. I just went to a place that was just like totally just go to a normal like house that had some lights. Right. So I was like not even to scary movies. My cousins maybe watched Scream once. I was like, I was terrified. I was terrified of The Exorcist because my dad would watch it and with my aunt, and they started laughing. I was scared in my mind. But when I went to like actual like to a haunt event, I think it was when I was in like in the middle school when I went to Scandia. Scandia was, I don't know if you guys remember, Scandia had like a little haunt thing going on.
Yep.
It was very out of theme during the time because the thing is that I went and they only had, I think, 1 or 2 mazes. I only went to 1. I was so scared out of my mind. I went with like
I could see that. Nope.
Nope. I was like, no. And then I said, I was like, no, I'd rather not go. And then I went to, I got talked into going in 1 maze. And so the person near that was a guy with a chainsaw, and he wore this like dead looking Darth Maul suit. So he had the red face with the black streaks and the horns. He had the black suit on, but he had a chainsaw. I was like, okay. And then I went through the maze, and all of a sudden, right at the end, it's this tall, buff dude with a chainsaw again, but he had a Michael Myers mask. I was like, what is this? And I was scared. I was just a young kid. So when it was around high school, that was after Scandia, like this around high school. I think I was a sophomore going to my junior year. I want to say in 2006, I went to Knott Scary Farm, and my sister told me, she talked me into it, said like, hey, I'm going with a group of my friends. We should go. I was like, oh, I'm scared. I don't want to go. And she goes, just come with me. And we're like, it's fine. I'm like, fine. I'm like, I'll go with you.
You're like, okay.
Like, I'm like, because my mom told me to go with her too. She's like, go with your sister, go out, have fun.
How old were you?
I was, I was 15, 16 years old.
Okay.
But I was.
We probably scared the shit out of him, Jeremy.
Probably.
Yeah. So I went there. It was during the time. I think it was Grudge 2 that they had during the time.
Okay.
But, and you might have to correct me on that. But I was only there for like 30 minutes. I was so.
That's funny.
I was so scared out of my mind. I was like, I remember going to Ghost Town. They went straight to Ghost Town. We went through Fog Alley, and I remember this guy that had like a Civil War suit with a skull, and he did something clinked at my face.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Was that Ryan or was that Jeremy?
Ryan Thompson.
Because he had I was gonna say, because Jeremy had a Civil War suit too. Jeremy Kruger.
Well, Tom, good job. Yeah, that was my. I was scared out of my mind. I was like, oh my god! We went to Carnival. And that was my first time I got cornered by a monster.
It could have been Jeremy because Grudge 2, I wasn't there, and clearly Ryan wasn't there. Okay, so that was later.
I think so too. Okay. But like, I never went to a maze. I never went to a single maze. So I was like, God, like, I'm already crying. I'm like, I'm scared out of my mind, and I'm putting my heads down, and I'm like telling my sister, I'm like, get me out. Like, I don't want to be here. I want to be somewhere that's like safe. And we're like, okay. So we went to Johnny Rockets. Johnny Rockets was not even safe either. There was still there was monsters, like clown monsters, like still going in and scaring them. I'm like, where are we? And I'm like, somewhere like else. And then
Johnny Rockets.
Yeah. I'm already terrified, and so I that was one of the time I got cornered by a monster, by a clown. That was my first time I ever got cornered by a monster. And then I just was I left, and I told my mom had to pick me up, and I was already crying. I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, these people are dangerous. And then but I thought she would support me and kind of like understand what's going on with me. Besides all that, she started laughing. I was like, oh God, like, how dare you? So,
that's funny.
She was like, oh, I'm like, it's all right. It's just a haunted maze. I'm like, all right. I was totally scared. Never wanted to go to a haunted place again. I went again a few years later. I think I was like 18 or 19 years old. And that was during Scion night. My friend had a Scion car.
Nice.
And we all three of us went to Scion night. I don't remember the year, but I remember the maze was a Viva Las Vegas maze. I don't know if you guys remember.
The bumper cars.
The bumper cars.
Yeah. So, because I remember, because there was
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Yeah. Okay. So
Las Vegas. Yeah.
I went to a part in the maze where there was a toilet, and the toilet was covered in fake shit, and it obviously smelled like fake shit. And there was like, when you go to another room, there was dressers there, and I was like, what's going? This is like weird. So I went. That was an interesting experience. So I didn't really get that scared. And that was when Tara London was there too. Yeah,
Great
and
maze.
and then it was a great maze. That was probably one of probably my favorite maze when I went there during the time. So I when I was in my second year of college, I was about 22, 23 years old. I went to San Diego Canyon College, and I met a guy named Johnny Morner. And if you guys don't know Johnny Morner, he was named Slenderman at Ghost Town. And I was so before, like, backtrack that a little bit, quick story. Like, me and him used to work at a Target for a seasonal, like when I barely moved to Orange County. So this was like in 2011, and so I saw him. I was like, oh hey, like we used to work together. And then so I remember doing a monologue one night. A monologue for a showcase. Sorry, and I was wearing like just this regular like suit, and I was playing this angry husband that the wife he got cheated on by his wife, and he wanted to like get revenge. And so it was supposed to be like this misery, some sadness, and I started screaming at the crowd, and it was this long monologue. And then after the monologue, I think a week later, comes up to me, he goes like, hey, that was really great what you did. I was like, oh, thanks, man. And he goes, have you thought about doing like any acting work at all? And I was like, yeah, like kind of, but like that was during a time when I was so focused on bartending. So I was doing bartending school, and I was getting my license. And then he goes, you should work with me on Not Scary Farm. And once he said that, all the nostalgia came back into like 2006. I was like, yo, bro, I can't do that, man.
Your fear.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, really? I'm like, you want me to work there? I'm like, I don't. And he goes like, yeah, it'd be really fun. You can work at you can either start in the maze or streets. And was really talking me into it. I told him, listen, like, I can't scare anyone. I was like, if I can only scare someone, it'll be myself. And I'm like, no, I can't scare anybody. And I'm like, so, and then he goes, just try it. Just try one season. You don't even have to like do all the years that, a lot of these vets do. And I was like, all right, fine. I was like, I'll do it for like a gig to get experience. He goes, so what do I do? And he goes like, well, you should audition for streets, because that's the really good part to like be at right now is streets. And then and I was like, all right, fine. Like, so that was when they had the time slots, and he told me to do the earliest one. So I did like a 12-ish or 11 or 12-ish. And I remember like a day or two before, I contacted him and I told him like, hey, so I got this time slot, and it was supposed to be like around this time. He goes, oh, that's cool. That's a really good spot, because you don't want to go anything like later. And I tell him, all right, are you going to be there? And he goes, no, I'm not going to be there. I'm already got I was like, well, wait, what? Like, I thought you would be there with me just to like kind of support me. He's like, no, I won't be there at all. I'm like, oh, damn it, dude. So I went there in the backstage part, and I was nervous. I did not know who anybody like was. I did not know, but nobody. I was so nervous, and I was like, this is definitely going to be a gig for me. I'm like, forget it. So I really, this is a part where how I got in was when they brought me in. I don't know what part, I can't remember what part of backstage they brought me in, but I remember it was Ian and Craig that were auditioners. And so I remember Ian telling me, he was looking at my work application, and he goes, oh, so you work at Starbucks, huh? That was during the time I worked at Starbucks. And I was like, yeah. And he had a drink right in front of him. He goes, I like those caramel frappuccinos with an ass shot with extra caramel. So in the Starbucks,
you say ass shot?
Ash, add shot. Sorry, my bad.
With an added shot.
Yeah,
Oh,
obviously I
added
can't.
shot.
Yeah, I obviously can't speak. So, he said it was just like with this extra shot, extra caramel, and then so in the Starbucks world, we fucking hate making that drink. Like if you get that drink, you're literally a piece of shit. So I was like,
Why?
I literally saw. It was a hard drink it was just an annoying drink to make. We were like, God, man, like we have to make 7 of these. I'm like, fuck. And so when he told me that, he goes, it's like that's a really cool drink to have. I was like, good for you, man. Like, all right,
You're
cool.
Like, I fucking hate it.
Yeah, I fucking hate it. In my head, I was like, I fucking hate making that drink. So, anyways, he was like, all right. So, like, he gave me scenarios. I did not remember any of the scenarios. Obviously, it was just kind of just a blur. But I remember breathing really heavy, and I was just nervous. I was like, did I do everything right? Did I get, did I ask him, like, did I do everything what they asked me to do? And I'm like, I was like going over the place, and then in my head, then they kind of were like looking down and just like kind of looking at each other and said, all right, well, we can give you a street position. It's but it's called Street Force. I was like, have you heard of it? I was like, no. And then he goes, well, you'll be assigned to streets, but you'll be doing mostly marketing. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this is kind of cool to do. Like, it was kind of a cool position. I didn't know. I had no idea. Like, I never knew what the positions were. And I was like, all right, I'll take it. So that's where I started. And then they're like, we're assigning you to Ghost Town, but you'll be parlaying to doing marketing work. So you'll be like kind of promoting the event, going to like different places, different like whatever events they assign you to in the morning.
Schools, whatever.
Yeah, schools. And then then that's how I started. And I told Johnny, because like Johnny Morner was like telling me in the beginning, he goes like, you like your chances of you getting straights, it's not very high. So like if you ever don't get streets, just start mazes. And then I told him, like, once I told him I got the position, I was like, hey, I got Street Force. And he goes like, what? I was like, yeah, I got Street Force. I don't know what this is. I was like, but it's pretty cool. He goes, dude, that's like, not a lot of people get streets the first year. I'm like, so it's kind of like very fortunate for you to like get that. And I was like, oh, okay. I never understood it. I never understood like how like people were, getting that like first year on streets, and then till years later, obviously. So that's where I started. I started doing my first year was on Ghost Town. Yeah.
And you've been in Ghost Town the whole time?
Yeah, I've been on Ghost Town for pretty much for 9 years. 9 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, and I started from there, and then
great. Well, thank you for watching, guys. Now you know his history. we have nothing further to talk about. He's been in Ghost Town the whole time.
That's it. That's what else is there, you know?
Look at that. We made 45 minutes. Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Okay, well, so all right, so you get Ghost Town. You do. You're getting this marketing position.
Yeah.
So tell us about your character and.
Yeah.
What was your character your first year?
My first character this year was a gruesome townsfolk.
Yeah.
So I had the regular old duster. I had overall jeans, a dress shirt, and I had this like hat, this duster hat.
Yeah.
And then I had a full-on mask that covered my head. I had like teeth showing, my eyes were showing, and it was like.
Didn't you have a wig on it too?
No, that was later on. So it was fully just bald, and I just wore the hat. So my first time when I wore it, I was like, this looks dumb.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks weird on me. I just had work shoes I wore from Starbucks. So I had these black shoes and I just wore them. And I wore that till like at least the second week or third week, and it transitioned to when I had just getting note to friends. I was asking, like, you know, because Mark Volger was my cast lead during the time, and I asked him the most. And I told him, like, hey, like, where are these people like getting these things on their toes, and what's all the gloves? And then he goes like, yeah, you kind of have to do that on your own. I was like, are you serious? So I'm like, like I did not know. I was like, really? You have to do this on your own? And he goes, yeah, it's a word of mouth thing. I'm like, okay. So he goes like, just find it on YouTube. And I literally just typed in like how to make slider gear.
You're at the heart. You're at the like the hub of where it started. And he goes, oh yeah, just go on YouTube.
Just go on YouTube. Go on YouTube and do it.
Don't go talk to the guys that are right there, literally right there.
Don't go talk to them.
They can help you over there.
Yeah, don't go talk to them. Just, oh yeah, you see that guy just slid? Yeah, go talk to him. No, go on YouTube.
Well, that was the time when I did not know, like I said, I didn't know anybody, and I was just like totally just nervous to talk to people.
So
I was just
that was 2013, 2012.
It's 2013.
So they didn't. Yeah, like in Orient, I'm probably no, because Craig was there your first year, so they didn't tell you, hey, if you want to slide, or obviously first year people don't slide, but they didn't tell you, hey, go talk to these guys.
No, they didn't tell me any. I was like, I did not know anybody about that. Like I had nobody to talk to about it, and then all of a sudden, I just knew it was something like a gig to do. And I just said, like, this is like, if I just wore this for the season, I'm fine. I don't care. I don't know any of these people anyway. I only know Johnny Moore, but he was in Trap during the time. So like, I was like, okay, whatever. So I remember going into the porch.
That's a funny story. He tells you to audition, and he gets amazed, and you get streets.
Well, he was already in Trap during the time, so I think that was his second year.
But that's what's funny about it.
Yeah, I was like, okay. That's why he was shocked when I told him, like, oh, I got streets. He goes, what?
Oh,
like, you have streets? I'm like, well, that's kind of rare to get streets. I'm like, I don't know.
Sorry.
I just got it.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just thought about that. I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah, right. So I instantly was, during the time when we had the porch to sit at, I didn't even think about it. When you go in, there's that door, right? And there's the left and the right. I went to the left, and I did not know anybody, so I sat down. And here comes Gary Spaz coming by, and there was other groups of people that I did not know near me, and they were like, oh, hey, Gary Spaz sits there. I was like, oh, okay. So I moved, and he comes by, he goes, hey! He was like, how you doing? I was like, oh, good. And then I sat down, and then Gary Spaz, I sat down right across from him, and then all of a sudden Gary Spaz goes, oh, that's where Ed Cobb sits at. I was like, what the fuck? Like, everyone's saying that assigned seats or something. I'm like, what? And then Ed Cobb comes in, and he goes like, hey man, how you doing? You know, it just says regular him. And then then I,
good
I
old
was like,
Eddie.
yeah, good old Eddie. Then I just sat like right near them. I was sitting right next to, like, kind of like near Gary. Did not know anybody. I was just like, obviously, and I remember sitting at Crow's Nest one night wearing that same old doofus costume I had.
Doofus costume.
Then I remember someone yelling out like, hey, new guy, like, come over here. It was Andros. Andros came up to me. I went up to him. He's like, come over here. And I sat right next to him. And it was him. I think Chopper was right next to him. And was it Wade that wore the skull? Am I correct, Scott?
No.
Who's the one that wore the skull, like, prosthetic?
Was it skull prosthetic? That was Chopper.
No, there was a guy wearing
his other prosthetic broke.
Oh, okay. What was someone along the line? He was bald. It was. I knew Chopper was there. There was someone else.
No, Wade was long gone at that time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I feel like it
Yeah.
was some guy named Way or Wilson or something like that. I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
Wilson. You're talking about Wilson.
Wilson.
Yeah,
Okay,
Wilson.
that's what I thought. So
Yeah.
he was right there, and then they were just talking to me, and then Andros was like, "How do you feel? Like, how's?" He's just made me feel so comfortable, and I was just like, "Oh, I mean, cool. I can finally talk to someone this time, and someone I can feel much comfortable now." So he was like, "Do you have anybody you're running with?" I was like, no, not really. I'm just kind of running by myself. I don't know anybody. And then he goes, all right, that's fine. I mean, I get it. And then, but do you feel like okay with everything? Or I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, just let me know if you have any questions. He just made me feel very like welcome, and I was like, oh God, there's a nice guy involved now. There's
That's Ambrose' nature.
Yeah. And then
very much like that.
Yep.
yeah. So a week later, I went to that same spot on the left side of the porch, sitting there getting ready. And then all of a sudden, Vi Lopez comes by and he goes, hey, I heard you need a running partner. Because I was already in mind to just leave. I wanted to just do this gig and leave. And he comes up to me and goes, hey, I heard you need a running partner. I was like, sure.
Okay.
He goes, well, run with me and Wiggles. We're going to go run in a few minutes. I was like, oh, okay. Vi is actually one of my best friends. Like, I've been best friends with him for like years, and he's like a brother to me. That's how we first met.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that made me feel like completely just comfortable around the park. And we got along so well. And I think like around just out after Haunt, like the banquet, he was just so nice to me, and just like it Wiggles too. And I was like, oh, cool. Like I actually have friends around here now I can make. So that's where it kind of like hit off. And then he was the one that kind of taught me how to change my costume. He goes, I told him like, how do you guys are getting, like, I asked him, I was like, how do you guys have the pads and the toe caps and the gloves? And then he taught me. He was just like, and then like giving me instructions what kind of to get. And then there was like Gary Spaz was giving me directions too. And that was during the time when Gary was spraying his legs with black paint because he didn't have any pants. He only had shorts, so he sprayed it with black spray paint around his legs
instead of just wearing tube socks.
Yeah. Like, I was like, wait,
Gary.
You could do that? And he goes like, yeah, man, I'm about to wash this off right now, bro. And then
wow.
I was like, all right, this guy is like totally a wacko. And then it's like cool. But
Gary's
like
nuts. We all know
yeah, Gary's very nuts, but just a great guy to be around with. And then that kind of like that environment just made me feel a lot better. I was like, okay, this is kind of what I can come back next year and try again and do something, do the same character. So that's when I had the wig. So I went up to, I think I went up to Mark Volger, and I told him like, hey, can I just not wear this hat because it's really bothering me, and then the hat comes off too when I wear it. And he goes, sure, like just go to Warehouse P and go ask for a wig. I was like, fine. So Tim, I went up to Tim and I told him like, hey, so my cast lead told me I could wear like a wig. Simple as that. And he goes like, what kind of wig do you want? I was like, I don't know, just not something to not wear this hat. Like I don't want to wear the hat. And he so he goes, all right. So he gave me this gray like dry hair, and the thing is that he gave
that wig was awful.
Yeah, it was bad. He only sewed it to the front, so the back was loose. So when I went out there, I had to pull it down, but like so it went. So when I scared people, the wig went down. So
so you're all constantly doing this.
Yeah, so I went like this, but like it was kind of cool because I was like Vi was laughing so hard because it looks like a scalpel falling off of the head, and I was like, okay, cool. So I went to scare people. I went up to people and I was put my head down and the wig will fall off, and I got scares off of that. It was like, yeah. Nice. So I went up to people and just like putting my head down, and the ball part would show. It was so funny, but like, yeah, most of the night was just it kept on falling down. I was like, this is so ridiculous. It was such a mess.
That's bad.
Yeah, that's where pretty much how I went to that full circle of like me wearing the slider gear, and then I actually had extra like I didn't have like a shirt for myself back then to make, and they I was borrowing like just a bunch of Knott's clothes, and then I remember making my own pants because I think I saw it was Aaron Frame or Nolan that was wearing these like bleach spray pants. And I was like, oh, can I, like, how do you do that? They're like, just spray bleach paint.
Yeah, that was a big thing for a while.
Yeah. So I remember having those. I still have that to this day. That I cut the pants, sprayed it with bleach. And I remember getting bleach all over my shoe once, and it was so bad. So I sprayed it. And then that was the pants I wore. For a long time. And so like till 2016, 2017,
a few years, yeah.
Yeah, for a few years, those were my pants to wear, and I'm surprised that kept me like going. It kept good condition for a while. But then everything else was just all Knott's property. It was just like the shirt. I remember wearing a vest, like a golden vest with the red shirt. It was kind of funny because there was this guy named Jason Woods that worked this year at Haunt. He was just a regular townsfolk guy, and he had the exact same red shirt with the golden vest. And I went up to him, and I was like, bro, like I wore that like in 2014. I wore that in 2014. I was like, God, that's so crazy. And he goes, oh, that's so cool and inspiring, because he was just like, he loved what I did out there, and he was just like, dude, that's so cool. And I was like, I'm surprised they still have that. It's so, or if not, they kind of remake one or something like that.
I'm not surprised, because I had that same shirt.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's something that the same shirt but different size. That's funny. Yeah, so
they probably just bulk ordered them from what's that Walker 42 or whatever that's called.
Walker 47.
47. Yeah.
Probably. I believe
they don't even exist anymore. The retail shop's closed.
Yeah.
They're still online though.
That's good.
Yeah, I remember getting the pads too. The pads that's when Heckler was around. He sold those. Where is it?
187s.
187s.
I think at that. Yeah, was it 187 or was it Smith still that he was bringing in?
Well, he was bringing Smiths before I was sliding, and then people were people were wearing those, and then from there was transition in 2014.
Well, because the caps for Smith started getting really bad, the material.
Yeah.
People were running through them so fast.
Mm-hmm. And then I heard like the caps for that one were much stable and everything.
Well,
so.
Yeah. 187 and Burley make the strongest caps on the market.
Yeah, very much so.
Most abrasion is resistant. Yeah.
Those I never changed my caps ever since. I still kept those to this day. It was just I just never was sliding much, but I got taught to do it.
So you've had Smiths as well?
I did no. I think no. I did not.
Oh, okay.
I think I didn't.
I know you use 187s now.
Yeah, I do use 187s now, but yes, I think I did, because during the time there was the pad, the top, like the cushion ripped off from the top, so it was completely ripped open. I have to get like a new one. I think that was when 187s were around during the time, and Heckler was selling them, and I got those instead. I've been having those ever since.
Yeah. Those are the go-to right now for most people.
Yeah.
The vast majority.
Much. Yeah.
There's still people that use Smiths out there, but the top two are Smith and 187.
Yeah, don't you have to go to like a certain store to buy them now? No.
Oh,
okay.
You can order online.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Just inventory is super rough. You got to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Or else you're SOL if you wait too long.
Yeah, and very much so. Yeah.
So yeah. Tough.
So you ran with the Knott's issue costume for 4 years?
I ran with it for about like at least 4 years. I had my pants, and then that was during the time in 2015 when 2014 or 15 was when they told me I had friend like Vi and I think Gabe was around. God rest his soul. Like Gabe was telling me like, hey, like, well, how do you guys get these characters? You know, I was like, well, you can make one. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and you can keep that. They're like, yeah, you can keep the characters. You can keep it stable. I was like, all right, cool. And then I was just kind of like looking around, like, how do you make these? I'm like, what do you like? I wanted something like not so related to the town. Like, I didn't want to become a cowboy. Yeah. I didn't want to become like this animalistic character. Then I was like, I want something like out of the ordinary. Some people are just like, I want people to look at it and go like ill.
The fuck is that?
Yeah. And then I was like, God, like, what's a character that's weird around the park? I mean, in Ghost Town. And I remember going to the exit Ghost Rider, just running, doing my doing my run, and then all of a sudden I see Paul Fichette was in that character, that pilgrim character. He had the white gloves, spats, and he had the white gloves, and he was smiling. He had the top hat, and he had that really dry wig, and he had that
white hair.
that white pale face, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And then very out of the ordinary. It's just like, that's not something that you see around Ghost Town. And then but it was
he's the Undertaker.
Well, and I mean, I did not know. I
don't know.
Yeah. Then I had to stop and like kind of position myself and like kind of look, and I'm like kind of watching him witnessing like scaring, and I was fascinated. I was just like, bro, like how's he doing that? He was running and creeping behind people and smiling, and then like he would use his legs to lift up his leg and pat his knees and start screaming. And I was just like, whoa, because I didn't want to, like, I was looking around too. I was looking around more of the regulators too during that time, and I saw like Jeff Starr, and I was like, no, I can't run like him, because he was just like jazz running and like sliding, and there was like Cowboy Bobby was doing these like these outrageous slides, and I was like, well, I can do that. That I just saw Paul Fichette. I was like, okay, I want something like that. I want something that kind of creepy, some kind of creepiness. And then, then I kind of like build up from there. Like I had some ideas and started to change. I was like, maybe I could do like kind of like this tweaking character. I did not know what to do. I didn't know what I was doing. And
so basically what you're saying is there wasn't really inspiration. You just pulled what you have now straight out of your ass. And it worked.
Yeah. Well, the inspiration was, it's kind of funny how their inspiration was. Well, mostly it's from him, like that kind of like, okay, I can do something like a little creepy like that, but like doing my own way, not to copy him. And then I remember being on the bus one time, the city bus one time, and there was a path there was a Chapman Avenue, and there was a bunch of homeless people. So homeless people will go in and start talking to themselves and start like tweaking out. And I looked, I'm like, oh yeah, I could do something like that. So I went out there and kind of did the same thing as like homeless people were doing. So I was like tweaking out and like doing these like these gibberish sounds, and then did not know what to do. You know, I was like, I'm hoping I'm doing everything right. And if I'm getting in trouble, then I get in trouble for it. I'm God. Then I think the one person I kind of hit it off was in 2015 was Adam Jahan, when he I saw that he did the whole talking to the box and yelling at the people, the skeletons at the hotel, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of similar to what I'm trying to do, and like I can do something like a little bit like that, but like tweak it my own way. I don't want to copy him. And then I actually went up to him and at the banquet that year when he won Monster of the Year, and I went up to him. I said, "Hey, like I have an idea. Like I want to do something just like kind of like yours, but I don't want to take whatever you have, like whatever your skills is." And he was like very cool with it. I just wanted to like get his like approval because I feel like I felt like very disrespectful if I didn't tell him.
Right.
And
yeah, you don't want to take rain on somebody else's bid.
Right.
Cool.
I didn't want to. I told him like I don't want to take your bit at all. Like I have like my own kind of way, my own bit in some ways, and
there's people that have done that and they act like it's all they're doing. It's like, dude, all you do is do it for everybody.
Yeah. I've seen it before. So I had that in mind, and then 2016 came around, and I think that was when the idea of like the Hostel character came around, when I was like, okay, well, I have all these ideas, these like, and I needed to make it to a full circle and make sure like what does it equal to. So I remember talking.
My memory stirs me right. You started kind of working with that in the 2015 season.
Yeah, I started doing that more. I was like, okay, so I was like, okay, so like, and then I think this was when I was talking to, I talked to Rissy about it. I was kind of like, I don't know what to do. And she goes like, it'd be really cool if you did like a asylum character. And I was like, oh yeah, like asylum character, cool. So props to her. She like kind of gave me like this, like, okay, I can do an asylum character. I'm like, what? I need a straitjacket. So like I was looking for straitjackets, and then bunch of them were really expensive. And then I remember talking to you, Scott, and then telling you like, hey, like I want to do like a asylum character, and I have this. I was like, what do you think about it? He goes, there hasn't been an asylum character at all. Like I think when you told me, if you can correct me, there hasn't been an asylum. There was an asylum character involved, but like it got. It
not
didn't
an
get
asylum,
approved.
but a prisoner, yes.
A prisoner.
Yeah,
there was a prisoner. Yeah, there
like
was
a traditional
prisoner.
The traditional.
Yeah,
which is funny because I listened to your last podcast with what's his name?
Beggs,
thank you. Yeah. And he was talking about he said that he's like, I don't think there was a chainsaw in Ghost Town, and there was. It was the traditional prisoner.
Yeah,
David Dean,
the original prisoner, but the chainsaws happened even before that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was the headhunters, John A. and George.
Yeah, that was before I was there. I
was there too.
Yeah, I only know David Dean, and so So to answer his question, yes, there was a chainsaw. A couple times.
There wasn't no asylum character at all, right?
No.
Because I heard a story. I heard some type of story that Jeff Starr was like an asylum character, and he didn't get approved for a costume. That was just
he might have had that idea, and they didn't approve it, but no, I don't ever not while I was there.
Yeah,
I just know he was a jester in the Gauntlet for years, and then he came over and did a fucking amazing rodeo clown.
Yeah. I remember
nobody
that.
will ever be able to duplicate that ever if they ever brought that back, which they never will. But dude,
yeah. So I just overall I just knew like, okay, well, there's no asylum character. There hasn't been one. I was like, let me just bring it to the table. Let me pitch it to him. So I brought it to you, Scott, and I told you, I was like, I wanted to do this, and he goes like, all right, well, you just have to get it approved from Tim. I was like, okay. So I was like, I'm kind of like lost with making the costume. I did not 100% no experience making a costume. And I was like, I need to make a costume. And just the top part, because I was just going to keep that bleach pants like on the bottom. So I was like, I need to make a straitjacket. So Adam Dollings came up to me and he goes, hey, I heard you need to make a straitjacket. I was like, yeah, I need one. He goes, I can make one for you. I was like, really? You can do that? And he goes, yeah, like I'm kind of like, I make costumes and masks for fun. Like I just do it just to have fun with it. I was like, oh, okay. And he was a trinket.
Yeah, that turned into actual legit business now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. And then, so he was like, give me just few weeks. Give me a week, sorry, and we'll go from there. I was like, all right, cool. He contacted me. He goes like, hey, so I found a potato sack bag. A suit that was $3 at the Redlands Goodwill around there. I was like, oh wow, that's $3. I'm like, really? And he goes like, and he showed me concepts. He showed me belts to be in the front. He was like, I can cut the belts and glue them, or I can Velcro them and glue them right there. I was like, cool. And once it came out, just like it was before we just kind of like dirtied it up, it just came this like plain with the belts, the jacket, just the original jacket that I have the first time. Yeah. And I was like, oh dude, like I kept on telling him like a bunch of times, like, I'll give you money, like I'll pay you whatever amount you want, just tell me your price. He goes, no dude, like it's all yours. It's like, just take it. So I give him, every time I talk about like how the suit happened, the first straight jacket happened, I give him like 100% props, because I think without him I did not know where I'll start, or where, like what kind of, I don't even know how to make it, so I don't know where I was to start with.
That's awesome.
That was the final piece to your actual look.
Yeah, that was then so I remember making it. I remember just putting the dye on there, the black dye, and just stirring it up. He was with me doing that, and then I remember seeing you, Scott, and I was like, all right. I was like, what do you think? He goes like, that's great, just go up to Tim. I was like, okay. So I went to Tim. I didn't really make a really like approach and good approach in some way. So I went up to him and I just said, like, I showed him just the suit, and he was from far distance, and he saw that, and he yells out, "That's not time accurate." I was like, what? He goes, "No, dude, I'm sorry. That's not time accurate at all. I'm sorry, bud. We can't have that." And then that shut me down. I was like, oh God, I don't know what to do. Like I was like, over all this like creative idea, like I'm making like a asylum character, just went to shit. And then I told Scott, and I was like, dude, like Tim didn't prove it. And he goes, yeah, there's nothing I could do. I'm sorry. And I was just, then that kind of like angered me. And I was like, all right, cool, that's fine. I'll keep on. I'll do this character still, but in this townsfolk suit, because I had just the flannel, or I don't know what it was. Just
you just had a cowboy shirt, and the bleach pants, and I had my hair long, but and then that's when I started with the blindfold. I wore the blindfold, and I had a loop body mask too, because I got that in 2015, and I was like, okay, I'm going to wear the blindfold still. I'm going to cut it up so I can see one eye. Because in 2015, I had it both blindfolded. And then I remember putting like blood, like little fake blood, so it can drain down my eyes. And you can there's a picture of me like wearing it at the end of last night. And I couldn't see at all. But like, I could barely, it was like kind of pitch dark, but like I went through it, and I was just being a dork. I was just going out there and scaring people, and luckily I didn't hurt anybody. So I just opened one eye. It was actually, I only did my left eye because I feel like I can see a lot better. So I remember going in Fog Alley and just scaring people, doing the character, the hostile character I wanted to do, and I was just sitting down, crisscross applesauce, just like shaking my body back and forth and doing everything I can that I wanted to pitch to them. And all of a sudden I see a flash like point right at me, and he goes, "Hey, come over here." And it was Scott. And I went up, I was like, all right, I'm fucked. I'm like, if I get fired tonight, I'm totally fucked. And then he goes up to me and goes, "What was that?" I was like, it was the character I showed you. He goes, "That's the character you want to do?" I was like, "Yeah, that's the character I want to do." He goes, "Do it again." I was like, and I went out there, and all I was thinking in my head, I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, this is totally not normal. Then I did it, got good scares. I went back, I was like,
And then he was like, dude, you wanted to do that character? That's what you want to do? I was like, yeah. I was like, bro, I was like, that's freaking amazing. I was like, what? I'm like, yeah, this is what I've been wanting to show you. And I was like, freaking, I'm like, yeah, this is what I wanted to do. So he goes, all right, I can let you do this. I can let you wear the straitjacket, but you can only wear it on Thursdays and Sundays, which are slow nights. I was like, fine. I wore that shit every fucking night. I wore that every night. And I was just like, I remember Friday came around, I wore it. And I was just like, one day I'm like, maybe Scott, if Scott says no, I'm like, no, whatever. So I passed by Scott and he just looks at me, look at him, I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing it. So I wore that straitjacket and I went out there, and that's how kind of the Hostel character kind of came in that full circle. Like that's the first generation of it. Yeah. Like I started to like doing like the scares, like, and doing my own, like talking to myself and running around like crazy and scaring people. I was doing a lot of like groundwork, so I was like crawling on the floor and just like doing that, just doing insane work. Yeah.
Like I said, it took time to ease that character in.
Yeah, it did. So, and then it was funny because that was me.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that actually was my second. That was the second generation. So that one was made by, what you call it? It was made by Knott. So when I was already kind of like gaining weight in 2020, I was like 235 pounds, and like I said, I lost like 30 pounds of it. I couldn't fit the original straitjacket. I had that I had it for so long, and I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I can't wear this anymore. So I went up, so I told, what you call it? I told Jamie, that was a makeup artist. She was in the costume department when I was getting I was getting fitted, and she, I told her, I can't fit this anymore. She goes, it's all right, we'll make you one. I was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, well, we have an idea that we can do for you. And Tim went up to me because he knew what, he knew my character was going on, and he goes like, I have an idea what we can do for you. And Jamie will show you. Jamie's going to make it. So it was shout out to Jamie. She's a makeup artist and she works in the costume department. And she got the white part. If you see the white jacket, was actually from Dark Entities. So, and then the pants, they were supposed to be long. So like the sleeve of the sleeve of it was supposed to be long, which I told him to cut it off. And I said, it was pants. So they sewed it.
Yeah. They sewed it so it looked like a straight jacket.
Yes.
Arm piece. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I told him like, can I just cut this up? And I cut it up, and it was just like strings hanging off. So every night I would strap it to my arm and like keep it, like tie it. And I had to keep on asking like friends to like tie it for me. I'm like asking Vi, I'm like, hey, can you tie this up for me? And it kept on getting loose sometimes. And they put straight jackets, so they got the belts, and they had the belts on there. And the pants were actually around 2018. I had the pants into like, I grabbed these Dickie pants that were kind of like this grayish kind. And I put like a bunch of like crap around it, but like dirt and everything to make it look more asylum. And then that's how it came in full circle. And then they gave me the socks too. So they gave me like, those socks are from Dark Entities as well. So that's how,
socks,
that became a full like circle. And then the hair too, I did like, I wanted to make it, I already had like my hair combed, it was already slicked. So I had like a bald piece pulse part around me, and like the
And
hair
you made
was
it look
like
more greasy too.
yeah, and I had it very greasy back in 2017 when I had long hair, so I would put conditioner. It was so bad. I put conditioner. I had like it was just greasy, crappy. I remember it dripping over me, and I remember it getting into my eye. It burned my eye once in 2017. And I was just like, God, it's crazy.
It looks cool though.
Yeah, so it was just very it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was just like and then the gloves and everything came to a full circle, and I wasn't sure if like the blindfold would work. Yeah.
Now, are you still wearing that the body mask underneath? Are you prosthetic now, or are you just straight face?
So how it happened is that in 2015 to 17, I had a full on like I had the body mask. So
with the blindfold.
With the blindfold. So I wore that. Then after 2018, I asked Denise after 2017. She goes like, "Hey, what do you?" It's like she asked me questions about like, "Do you want to do makeup next year?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would like makeup." And then she gave me a makeup spa in 2018. It was bad at first because like it was a prosthetic.
Are you a prosthetic or were you 2D?
I was prosthetic it went to prosthetic to 2D throughout the whole season. So the prosthetic did not work out. Like it did not fit my blindfold. The prosthetic, I can barely speak. Like my jaw was so stuck and my mouth, I was closing my mouth most of the time. It was not working out. And so I told him, like, I went up to Bill. I was like, hey, dude, I can't wear this. I'm like, it's too tight on me. And they're like, okay, well, we can cut the bottom jaw off. I was like, okay. So I cut the bottom. They cut the bottom jaw off. Did not work at all because the blindfold will start, because I sweat so much, it start shrinking, and so like the blindfold didn't even stay fit the whole time. And I was like, God, like I can't do this thing.
Because it's cheesecloth, right? Cheesecloth blindfold. And that thing stretches like crazy.
Yeah, I remember getting one every single night. Just like I asked them, and then they remember me too. They're like scare cloth. I'm like, yeah, because I asked for like a double layer one. So how it worked, I had one layer during the time when I had the mask. And then then it transitioned. I told him, like, can I just get like 2D just to like I can't seem to have this blindfold stable. And then Bill was like, all right, well, we talked to my makeup artist. They gave me like this like black streak like makeup. It was okay. It was kind of like last minute thought. So then that was when I still wear the one layer blindfold, and I was like, God, this is like shrinking because I'm obviously I'm sweating. So I told him like I don't know how to like keep it like stabled. So I remember Carter Hoge, if I can pronounce his last name. He was in CS and he was a makeup artist, and he works in the costume department. And he went up to me and said like, oh, I can teach you how to like kind of stretch it and have it stable. And that's when he taught me to do the 2-layer and stretch it upward. And
like this, vertical and horizontal.
Vertical and horizontal, and he taught me how to do it, and I was like, "Oh, that's genius!" I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So like, shout to him. Like, I kept on doing that the rest of the night, and that was 2018 when I wanted belts in the back, and Stephen Banks went up to me when he was working with us during the time, and he said I could put belts in the back. And I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome. Because I wanted belts on the back because it was only
it goes all the way around. Yeah.
All the way around. So he put belts on the back, and you could see it now. It became a kind of like in this full circle of like pretty much the straight jacket was completed for that first generation. So yeah. So like, and then I had 2D ever since. Like 2D, my second year for 2D was okay too. Wasn't best until this guy named Ozzy on this past year, he saw me. He goes, oh, dude, like I'm so excited because I seen your character and you're so awesome out there. I've been wanting to like I love those kind of crazy makeups for like those asylum characters. Like I have like so many ideas for you. I was like, oh, awesome. And then honestly, that makeup I had this year was probably one of my favorite ones. So like he's become one of my favorite artists, and he has like the scars around me. I remember one time because on the side of my head he put help and in blood
That's
blood
awesome.
scars.
That's really cool.
So basically now you have prosthetic pieces at some point.
Yeah.
I think works better for that character.
Yeah, and I asked for like kind of prosthetic ideas to put like just around my eyes to like fit, but that was just a pitch to them. So maybe like this year when it comes around, maybe I can when I come back I can do something like that. So
I like the prosthetic piece that you have. Because it changes your nose. It gives you a totally different, unhumanistic, or I don't know how the word would be, but
you look
unrealistic nose. What?
It was the Lubati mask.
You look mauled.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at, as a Lubati mask, and it gives you like this super stretched out. It looks menacing. It looks fucking menacing.
A little bit of a deformed chin too.
Yeah. Yes, that was why I liked it so much. But like it was sometimes it was just so difficult to put on because I had to cover my hair with because the strap was on top, so I had to put the strap on top, and then with the sides, and I had to have the hair like kind of cover it. So it took a while, but I never had a problem with it like that much. Besides the fact that only part.
Yeah, looking at the photo you have on your Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally integrate your blindfold into the mask to where it's all one piece essentially, and then you just you use the blindfold to hold your mask on. You know, and then you can have this part here. You can have some sort of strap that may go back here or whatnot.
Yeah, because that part was loose too. Yeah. And there was parts where sometimes like my nose, when I put it up too high, my nose would be upward. Yeah. So like my nose would just face up this whole time like this, and then I sometimes I couldn't breathe right. It was just so awkward because when I had that mask, it was just it had the teeth. Just like the old character that I had when I started. Yeah. And I was like, like I didn't want it like that. So I just cut it up and I kind of had it just the full face.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I worked it.
Well, with the T-strap that you had in there, you're a freaking loony bin character. You could have made that exposed and made that part of your costume in the sense of, hey, he's a loony bin character. His face is screwed up and he's got to wear this mask, or he wears a mask because he's cuckoo, and you know.
Something along the lines of like that. But it was like that. It was just like it fit very well, and people were very shocked the fact that like there was a crazy person around the town.
Well, your hair really gives it a lot of character. The wetness of your hair, like especially in the video we were showing,
greasy,
the greasy look,
very greasy. Because I just put a bunch of like coconut oil and I just started squeezing it, and like I put water on it, dab water on it just in case, just put extra like just sweat around there, and I knew I was gonna sweat a lot throughout the whole night. Right. But it worked out very well. It worked. It worked out.
Yeah, there's no way around sweating.
Yeah. I wanted that. So.
Yeah, the face paint I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah, it was. I think the this year was my favorite one personally.
I don't. You don't have any pictures of this year on here, do you?
That was the one that you showed us. The one that you showed us.
Oh,
that was that year. That was this year.
Oh, okay.
And then that was this year, and had like the scars, and it had the pale face. I like I said, I would like to have like a right prosthetic if they gave me one. It's just a matter of like when they'll make, like how they'll make it, and if it'll fit right. So, and if making sure if it'll make more menacing for my character. I just don't want.
I think a good look for you would be some kind of a half mask. of sorts because you are again crazy, like kind of a Hannibal Lecter inspired type of thing.
Yeah, very much so.
Maybe with more of the mouth exposed and.
I really like the video, the look in this video.
Yeah,
the blood with the blood dripping, like
that's all like
creepy.
about the mouth dye, and I kept on using the mouth dye because I wanted to look very creepy in some ways, and I wanted to make sure people were looking at me and just had this like shock, and I'm like, there's a guy on the floor and he's totally insane, and we can't tell if he's like working or if he's actually like that in real life, you know.
It's creepy. It's really fucking creepy.
Yeah, it just was.
Well, that line is kind of blurred.
So did you give your character a backstory?
Yeah, I did. So I kind of have it here. I was.
Oh, you prepared.
I'm prepared myself because I wrote it back in the day and I just didn't. It's kind of long, but I said I'll get a quick synopsis of it. So I just said, like, pretty much I'm a schizophrenic asylum patient that escaped from Dr. Maligan's asylum building, and my Dr. Virus said my wife was killed and drowned from an unknown demon, but it was me the whole time, and I started having hallucinations. So I started to see talking to strangers or friends that weren't even there. And I wanted to escape west just to get out, to escape from the asylum. Then I was, but at the same time, I was making circles around the town. Like I thought I was escaping away from west. And I was like, oh, I'm going really far. Merrick is my cousin. So it's kind of makes sense of what from him and me. And it's just
family.
Yeah, it runs in the family. So like it just was me being very angry or happy, and just like, which are part of my scares, and just yelling at objects. And because I feel like those people were ruining me, and that's how it came about. Like I had something along the lines like that. Then I remember I had to change it this year because, like, with Sarah Marshall being involved, and I had to make sure that the witch curse was around too. So like there was something I made I had to write it down when at orientation. So I wrote that down, and I wish I saved it, but like it was something along the lines with like the witch being involved and cursing us that same time when I was running west.
So that's why I kind of like why you have those two personalities. You have the demon within and you.
So the I thing too was when I have this hallucinations and I see Death. So Death is Michael Biggs, and like, and he grabs my eye and rips it, but I think he has my eye, but really the person that was the hallucination was my Dr. Virus. So my doctor kind of messes with me throughout the town. So Virus messes with me and tells me like, oh, like, I don't have your eye. This person does. And he tells me that they make fun of you, and they tell me that they all hate you. And he kind of manipulates me, and that's how I get angry and start running and scaring, like I ran with anger, start screaming at people and start talking to myself. And there was sometimes I'll make up like these personalities, like I'll do like a child, or I'll do like a different human, or I'll do, sometimes I did a woman one time. I was walking around, I did that year, and it was just like kind of these different like changes as like I wanted to make it more of a schizophrenic, because I remember watching in 2017, I watched a doc on YouTube, a documentary about what the symptoms were like as for a schizophrenic. So I watched that for a whole hour of figuring out, like, I was just doing my research, figuring out, like, oh, that's right. Like, then I watched, like, I remember watching Primal Fear. You know how Primal Fear and it was Edward Norton's character. He had two different personalities named Aaron and Scott or something like that. And when he switched to Aaron, he was the kill. When he had Sky, it was like I think it was I don't know what his name was the first one.
Yeah.
Like he had like one other name, and he was the innocent person telling them like I didn't kill anybody, and then he switched off to Aaron, and Aaron was the guy that killed, is the killer, and it was the same person. So that kind of like inspired me a lot too. I was like, oh, so that's it, and then just that's how pretty much the backstory was. It was a little bit more along the lines like that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that makes sense, dude.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I wanted to make it just something that people wouldn't want to do. I just didn't want anyone to. I'd be glad that people were insane like me. It'd be cool, but I wanted to do something that out of the lines where like people go like, I would never touch that. I wouldn't want someone to go. I wouldn't want to drag my head on the floor, because I did that this year, and there people were like, dude, like how are you okay?
What the fuck's wrong with you?
What the fuck's wrong with you? I'm like, then people, I just tell them like, I don't know, just came on the spot, and then they're like, dude, that's really cool, but I'm scared. I'm just worried. So it was like that. It was like people were very shocked, and they're like, dude, you're crazy out there, man. I can't do anything like you do, and that's where I was kind of getting. I'm like, well, cool. I kind of did my work. Little shock value there.
Well, I mean, it's cool that you're the only one that does that. Or does it to that extent, because you stand out.
Yeah, and that's how I wanted to do. I wanted to do something outside the ordinary, and I wanted to. That's why I did a bunch of endurance work. Like, and I did the whole. I remember one year I grabbed food off the ground and I ate it, and I was like, I'm like, I did something I wanted to do something totally insane. No one would do. I remember Trey was there, and he had a pizza box he was trying to put in the trash bag. And you know how the trash was like small, had a small hole.
Yeah.
He was trying to punch it in, and I looked at him, and I lift my head up. I starts banging my head on the pizza box till it went inside, and and it went all into my head. My head was, and it fit, and the pizza box went all the way inside with my head banging on it.
Oh my
and
God.
Then he goes like, okay, all right, cool. It's along those lines like that. Like those things happen. Like I would talk to like objects. I would go up to like, I remember going to like the Indian statue. I talked to that, and there was a person right there at the gun shop, and I was just like talking to them, and they're like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah, I just wanted that kind of, like you said, that shock value. People were just going like, dude, I don't know what's going on. This is just totally like just creepy.
I can imagine you go pretty crazy on the busy nights is probably when you get really.
It is totally insane. I remember sitting on crisscross applesauce in the middle of the crowded field, and I started rocking back and forth and start talking. And then I remember I had like this past year, I remember there was a busy night where I don't know if you were there, Scott, during that night, but I was rocking back and forth, and there's guests coming around, and there was teenagers sat right next to me, and they were like, and I was standing there just not doing anything. But the thing is that when they were standing right next to me, I froze my body, but my body was leaning forward, and while I was sitting down, and then I stopped till they walked away. So they were there, they walked away, but there was all of a sudden I looked up, and I can look up just a little bit to see everyone's like legs, and I saw like about maybe like 5 people, and I was like, oh, they're gonna walk away, whatever, it's fine. And then I was staring down just for a little bit, and I looked up, and it ended up being about like 20 people, and I was like, okay. So okay. I was like, I hope those 20 people will walk away. A few minutes later, it ended up being about 80 people, a crowd of people at Birdcage watching me, just going there like, what is this man doing? What is he doing? And I'm like, I just was standing there, just froze, but my body was leaning forward, because I was just like rocking myself back and forth. I had to just position myself to stay still till these people leave, and
They're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
they wanted to see something happen. They're like, I hope he does something. And then there was monsters hanging out like on the porch area. Then Bakes comes in, and he goes like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know, dude. I don't know what I'm doing." And he goes, he goes, "Do you want to get out of here?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, get me the fuck out of here." And he grabs me and he throws me like kind of towards the area where towards the windmill was at. And then people were like, "Oh man, like what's up with this?" Like they thought they were gonna get a show, and it's so funny. I was just that was the one story that people would speak of. They're like, "Dude, I remember you had like 80 or 100 people standing there because they thought you were gonna do something fun." I was like, "Yeah, they got what they paid for, I guess." Yeah. Those are nights where it's just like it was insane. It was just like I wanted that kind of attention brought off to people. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did.
That's the way it works, dude.
Yeah, I wanted that. I just was that type of crazy oriented guy where like monsters will come up to me and watch me and just say like, "Dude, I cannot stop watching you because you're just this type of entertainment in some ways."
It's the psychological side of it. It's not the absolute in your face scare. It's you dig a little bit in their brain.
Yeah.
Well, that's what makes that's what makes a good character is when it's just character development it can be very deep. It's extremely deep. When I asked Scott to do this podcast, I told him, I want to really focus the podcast on strictly character stuff, which we ended up obviously opening up to everything because I that's what I do. That's my forte. That's my profession is to do character development when it comes to storylines and stuff like that. And character design, you implement all that. And like, a prime example is Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Yeah.
It's just the Joker character in general. But his particular one is just so phenomenal. So when you throw in that psychological aspect of it, and and same thing with Merrick, like his character is remarkable. And it's like my first introduction to him was when we watched Origins of the Sliders of Origins or whatever. And and he came up, and I was taken out of the whole movie in sense of sliding wise. But I was glued to his segment, whether or not it was purposely done to be that way. But it for a cohesive story when it comes to the origins of sliding, didn't work.
Right.
But I get why he was put in there because his character is just insane. He's fun to watch. There's a lot of depth to it. And the same thing with you. When I was doing my research for our interview, that video, just like I had that thing looping for like a good 15 minutes and just fucking analyzing it and staring at it because it's just there's so much going on just in that fucking video. I can see everything going on in your character. That's just nothing but questions. Just like, why are you doing this? Or it's like that's what makes a good fucking character.
So I wanted to have it like that. I wanted to have people be questionable, be like, what is he doing? Like, what's going through his head while he's doing that? Because he looks like he's 1 minute he's sad and then 1 minute he's like really really happy, or 1 minute he's like really really angry and just screaming. And then there's like sometimes where after I'm sitting down, I'm on my knees and I'm just like start slamming my hand on the ground for no reason. It's just like I wanted to make it just out of this creepy ordinary thing where we're like, okay, what is going on with this dude? And it's freaking me out. And I've got a lot of I've luckily got our reactions out of that. I didn't know that it was gonna get that much attention out of it. It was just like because people were like, dude, it's like a character I've never seen out there. And Yeah, it's so weird, but it's so cool to see.
That's the unfortunate part of Knott's not utilizing the a lot of the showcased characters, I guess you would call them, in certain areas for marketing or for anything, because they're so, like, a lot of them are extremely fascinating, you know. You being one of them, Merrick being another, and there's plenty of them, like in Boardwalk. Cherry's a prime example. Like, she's extremely fascinating to watch, and just characteristic wise, I can't wait to interview her to find out her backstory that she created or anything, or
right. Yeah, that was a weird. Those are characters I was really. That's why I was so fascinated by this carnival this year, because I'm like, there was, I'd never seen any of these characters like that out there. I think the last time I seen like carnival at the prime was when in 2010 or 13, and they were just like going at it. It's crazy. And I think that seeing that out there was just totally out of the ordinary. And it was very, very cool to see.
Like Jill was another one in Ghost Town. Her character was insane. Obviously Naomi.
Which one?
Well, all of them. All of her characters. All of her characters have depth. So, and you see that you can tell someone that just gets into their costume and just kind of runs around and scares people, against somebody that really focuses on movement. Just has that layer of depth when it comes to their character. It's very apparent. Steve Autchen was a prime example. He had a lot of depth. He had a lot of depth.
Both of his characters, a Phantom and a Monk.
A lot of depth.
And it's kind of like these people get inspired by that, and then they want to do something similar. And then like now, like I've had people that, like, I never, like I said, I never expected to be this kind of attention, especially this year when I had, like, I think we talked about it, Scott, but there was quite a few doppelgangers of me from different parks of acting the same
parks per se.
In
scare groups.
In scare groups, there were just in different places that were acting the same character as me, had the same, and there was a guy, there was a kid, very identical. There was a kid. I think it was I don't remember where it was. It was somewhere at Chino Hills, and there was, because they had the blindfold, and then they had the suit, like the scare jacket, the straight jacket, and there was the shirt, the dress shirt that I had back in like 2016, and like people, like, he had the same exact suit, and I was like, dude, same costume, bro. And
I saw that kid. I said, what is this, baby Hostel?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I didn't really. I had people send me pictures, and I just like, dude, you should talk to this person and find out like what's going on with them.
Well,
like,
take it as a compliment, really.
Yeah, I do. I really take it. I take it as a compliment. I was just kind of, I was shocked but very flattered in some ways, because I was like, oh, this is like, I'm inspiring people to do these kind of. And then I had a kid. There's this kid named Torin, and he 1 year, I think in 2018 or 19, or 2019 actually, his mother showed me a picture of him for Halloween one night, and he wore the same. He made a straitjacket out of me, like just like mine.
That's cool.
And he was like, dude, he loves what you do, and he's inspired. The reason why he wants to work haunt, because of not only like other monsters, but mostly you. And I was like, I like, what? Like, I never knew this was gonna happen. And I never, like, even when, like, even hearing this year, like, I didn't know there's now gonna be, there's rumors now about, like, well, I already knew, but like, there's already talks of having a woman version of me. And now I'm like, like, God, like, I don't know what's like that
in Ghost Town.
In Ghost Town, yeah, there was a particular woman that I won't name. She pitched the idea to me.
Oh, okay.
She was like, I really want to make this kind of like yin and yang thing. And
so this wasn't Knott's.
This wasn't Knott's, and she works at a different zone, and she told me about it. And I was like,
That's
oh,
cool.
that's
So
cool.
wait, is she gonna come over theoretically and be a running partner?
Well, yeah, we discussed it because during the time we were like, when she was around, she was telling me like, oh yeah, I want to like do something like this, and then I told her like, okay, well, like I just told her about it, and I kind of gave her like a rundown of it, like what I do as a character.
I think I know who it is.
Yeah,
I think I do too.
yeah, and she told me like, I want to be part of that crazy town like with you and Merrick. I was like, oh,
I think
okay.
we're on the same page, Jeremy, on who we're thinking of.
Yeah, so like,
I tried to get her. I tried to get her to pop on.
yeah, I was, like I knew she was when she discussed.
He has no idea.
Yeah, I know who it is. I know what you guys talking about. And I was just like, I knew when she was talking about it, I was like, just say it, bro. Just say it.
Just say it.
Just say it. So those things like and then there's another girl. I won't speak of for her. Like she wanted to do something very similar, like a crazy type person as me, and it's like she's inspired. She works at a different zone, and she goes like I do this similar character at Carnival. I want to bring it to Ghost Town because you kind of inspire me to like the craziness and what you do and your endurance work. I was like, that's cool. Like I'm always shocked and overwhelmed when I hear those things. And so like hearing the other girl tell me like, I want to make it like just kind of like similar like yours. And
I'm just gonna say it. Like
no, don't say it.
Not the person, but the person that it is.
Mm.
If that in fact did happen, that would be really good. I'm just saying. I am just saying. Because I can already envision how it would go.
Yeah.
Because I've seen her character.
Yeah.
And how she does her thing, and it's really good.
I've seen her out there too, and she does phenomenal. That's why she deserves every award from it too. And I was very proud of her. What she does, and that's why I told her she has potential of doing it. And I told her it's just a matter of like just going out there. By the end of the day, it's management's decision to do it.
Yeah, you present it to them. It's their sandbox.
Yeah, it's their sandbox. So I'm like, I would love to have you do it if I had the power to make that decision. But it's like she has potential.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
So is it something that you guys would do together, or she would just want to come over and just do her own thing as that character?
Probably, I don't know. It'll probably be together. It would be together if it makes sense if we did it together.
That makes a lot of sense, and that you guys would be a fucking killer duo.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, if she auditions, and she knows. So it's a matter of just, she pitched it to Pasta, and she said Pasta likes it, and I think it will be just
this podcast, which I know she will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. Very good idea. So that's it. Like those things, I get overwhelmed by. I'm inspired. I'm very flattered by it, and it's hear those things. I just start like it's crazy how I just started just doing a gig, wanting to do a gig and wanting to do like I never knew this character was going to be involved, and then until Vi comes up to me and says, you need a running partner? I was like, yeah. And then it just kind of came a full circle ever since. Like, I never knew.
Snowball effect.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah. Like, I never knew in 9 years, like, that I will become this character that people are very, like, intrigued and inspired by. And it's crazy. It's crazy to see that.
Well, I have to say, like, this interview went completely different than what I expected. I wasn't expecting anything horrible. Don't get me don't get that twisted. I wasn't at all. I didn't know. I don't know anything about your history, your character. Obviously, we don't know each other. It's our first time really meeting each other face to face. And
I have a story about that. I have actually a story when I met you Jeremy. So,
but well, real quick, I have to say that I'm extremely inspired by you.
Oh, appreciate
because
it.
Just based off of what we talked about today, you went in from like not even wanting to go be no thought of being a scare monster, scare actor, and then you have your buddy who encourages you to audition, and you end up getting streets, and then you go from that to what you are now. From what I've seen on your Instagram, I have to give you extreme props because you're pretty amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I just it's wild over the years where now, like, before, like, 2017, I was felt like I was already gonna be done because not to get too personal, but like my mother passed away, and I was just like, it was very unexpected, so I did not know what to do. I just
and that was a rough time for you. I remember that.
Yeah, it was really rough, and I did not like. I had this character in mind already set. I was like, cool. I was like, this is. I think I'm gonna be done right after here. I think I need time off. And then I just remember my mom telling me, like, like she loved to see me out there, like being very proud of what I do, and loved to see like me enjoying that kind of work. And she would love me to do that even when she passed. Yeah. So I was just like, that kind of maybe think of it. That's kind of why, like, I just wanted to stay. I stayed in 2017, and 2017 became my favorite year. My favorite year off of it. It was just like, and that's where it kind of very started of that Hostel character. I was inspired. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't inspired, but like very motivated to stay. Humble to stay. And it's just wild, and I sticked ever since. And even when I had some family members that passed through, and I was just like, I didn't want to work, but I stayed. I just felt like my dad passed, and I just felt like he would want me to stay because he saw me over the social media. My sister will show him, and he would 2019 or 18 or 19, and he saw me with these art pieces, and he will go like, oh, like, can I get your autograph, just to be a joke? And I was like, like, I'm not that famous. And like, he was just like those kind of things. Like he loved me do it out there. My parents love me see what I do. So like, very humbling to see that. And I'm still here now, and I'm like still doing it. And it's inspiring others to like go out there and just starting from not just doing a gig and not knowing no idea to here like 9 years later.
That's good, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So funny, only 9 years.
Yeah, only 9 years.
Crazy when you think about that.
Yeah, pretty much. Crazy. Very, very, very crazy.
It flies. It definitely flies by.
It does fly. Like, I did not know, like, I didn't remember much as like 2013 or 14, and when 2016 was around, I'm like, oh yeah, I started remembering things, over there.
Yeah,
so
and, it's crazy. My last year was the year my mom passed.
Oh yeah,
and it was a very dark year for me.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
I quit. I mean, I left, and then it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I went off and did other things. That led me to where I'm at now. But
yeah,
it was just a lot. I had a lot of personal things on top of that going on, and then a lot of bullshit at Knott that I was dealing with, and so I give you kudos for continuing. And I'm glad you did, because I like seeing your character, and I can't wait to see you this year.
Yeah. I'm hoping, like, I've been kind of pitching off that a bunch of times. I've been wanting to do a different zone. I kind of wanted to do Carnival. I've been thinking about a character. The only thing I could say is that the character has 10 different personalities, and I do those 10 different personalities over the hour. So like every 5 or 10
cool.
So I switch off, and I'll be like a kid, or I'll be like a child. Like, it's kind of like the movie Split.
He's like James McAvoy in Split.
Yeah, very much. And then it's so that kind of stuff, and I have other ideas involved, but it's I've been thinking about it, but at the same time, I've been kind of like, I love what I do out there. I love the character I do. It just keeps me motivated. It keeps my endurance going. I don't know how I still have it to this day.
You're still young, dude.
Yeah, like I just, like, I remember I see a lot of young kids like me, and then they're you know, they're running out of breath and they're like, God, I'm so tired. And I'm like, dude, it's 2 hours in. I'm like, I'm freaking pumped up right now. You know, like I'm ready to go out there. So it's like those, like that. It's crazy. I mean, it's insane to just see that. So
yeah. So you said you and I met before?
Yeah. So I remember at the Culture one time, it was at Rock and Brews. I went to go hang out with Scott. I think it was after the documentary, if I'm correct.
We're
so
all out back.
Yeah, we were hanging out at the back part, and then I was like, I remember this. You were right across. You had a beanie on, and then this was 2015, I think 2015 or 2016. I looked at Scott. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? They're like, that's Jeremy. I was like, oh, okay. He goes, he used to work with us. He worked with us recently. I was like, what? I've never seen him.
Yeah, the documentary was 2016. Jeremy's last year was 2015.
2015. So like, he goes, yeah, he used to work with us. I was like, what? Yeah. So that's when I was like, oh, okay, well, and then I saw your character and I was like, oh, okay, that guy looks kind of familiar now.
That idiot that was stumbling all over himself and couldn't figure it out.
I was an idiot too. I was the idiot around, and I was speaking gibberish around 2015.
I seriously wish I could just erase 2015. It was like the most embarrassing year.
Yeah,
but I was definitely not prepared. I had to rush my character. And then obviously, like, my work situation switched, and it just it fucked everything up. So like, I couldn't even get the momentum of like the character at all. Like because like gap it was a big gap from 2000. 10 years. Yeah, it's 10 years almost. So I just wasn't like in the headspace really. I thought I was.
Yeah,
but I just rushed everything. I rushed the costume. The costume was shit. Everything was shit, and it was just.
Yeah, I get it. It's tough. I get that.
I apologize if I didn't talk to you.
No, it's fine. I just was like, I didn't know who you were, and I was like, oh, that guy looks really familiar.
Yeah, like I said, I'm super quiet, dude.
yeah, very quiet, very quiet. I'm the same way too. So then back then I was kind of a loud child.
When I do your podcast, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be like 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes, just a little bit.
You guys could do it remote too because it's only audio. It'd be easy.
Yeah, it'll work out too. So
I'll be out in June.
Okay.
I'll be out in June for Haunt X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm planning on coming out. So if you want to just try and
we could do something like that.
Something then. I would love to. I would rather do it in person, to be honest, because I think we'll get like a better banter back and forth and.
Sure.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, I'll get. That'd be great. Whenever you come by, just let me know. We'll set something up.
Are you going to Haunt X?
No, I heard about it, but I never go to these conventions, and I think I went to Midsummer once, and I went to Scare LA before to watch Decade. Because Chase McCullough he's a very good friend of mine, and I used to live with him. I lived with him in his couch for I was a couch surfer for 6 months, and so I kind of knew him from around that time when he did that, and I knew him from when he did Midsummer. So like, I don't really go, but like I like to go just out of curiosity, just to see. To walk around, just kind of see what the stuff are like. It's the convention's so big. That X and Midsummer, it's just gotten so much popularity recently. So it's kind of like
Midsummer's probably the biggest one now.
It is.
Yeah.
Haunt Day convention
in SoCal, or in the West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll probably go this year. If I can go, if I make
July
time for it.
29th through the 31st.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make something work.
My birthday weekend.
Oh, nice.
Party! I'm coming out, yeah. I'll be out that whole weekend.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll be out for Haunt X and for that, and then I'm going out for Comic-Con too, but it's
going to be a busy weekend for me.
Ooh, busy weekend. Oof.
Not Comic-Con, but
Comic-Con is just I try to get tickets once. That's just like a minute just ran out of tickets. I'm like,
yeah. Luckily, I get professional, so I don't have to. But it sucks because the way they do it now, like I get a free one, but like I used to be if I would get 2 additional passes for free. But now I only get one for me, and I have to pay. I have to pay for any additional. They've become so fucking greedy. It's not even funny.
Oh God,
it's
that's
bad.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I go and I get my professional, and then I have to like, hey, ask my wife, do you want to go? Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Right? So I gotta pay for her, and then, you know, whoever else, like, hey, do you want to go? It's like gonna cost this much. At least it guarantees the ticket for whoever wants to go. You don't have to worry about selling out, but it's just the fact that I have to fucking pay this shit. When they gave it to me for free for so many years, like I'm talking like for 15 years.
Yeah, that inflation though.
It's just not inflation. They're greedy. That's
greedy.
Fucking
They're greedy. They're like, well, we need more money now.
It's all that. Yeah, it's just, everything right now. It's just it's stupid.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So, but we got those for 2020.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, obviously, they didn't do it for the next 2 years. And we went to they did like a little special one in November last year. And it was garbage. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was almost it was Frankensons was better if you've ever been to Frankensons.
Oh, I've heard Frankensons. I've been wanting to go there.
Better.
Yeah, I'd love to go there one day. Just I've heard so many good things about.
Oh, Frankensons is dope, dude. Yeah, I love going there. But if you've ever been to a regular Comic-Con, having it scaled down that much, it's just not worth going. So, and we didn't know. We took the kids, and the kids we figured it would be good for them because I knew it was going to be really scaled down. So I was like, well, let's take the kids, just go make our weekend out of it. And the kids didn't they wouldn't have it. So
I went to WinterCon, an Anaheim convention.
WonderCon.
WonderCon.
This year?
I don't know what it is. I went there in 2019.
Oh, okay.
It was okay. I just felt like there were more independent like comic books, and I just was not like, I was okay by it. I was like not very inspired. I thought, I'm like, oh, I can kind of get this like similar version of like Comic-Con because since like it's hard to get in, I was like, I can get like a similar inspiration. I'm like, nothing like
Long
that.
Beach Comic-Con too.
Yeah, it's super scaled.
Long Beach Comic-Con's another one.
Yeah, no, Comic-Con is it's its own beast. It's huge.
Is.
Like Comic-Con's bigger than a lot of trade shows.
Oh yeah.
It's like 200,000 people in the
It's insane.
the whole like
the entire San Diego Convention Center is full.
It's the whole convention center. It
outside too,
it's insane.
Wow.
And so that's the only reason why I'm like, you know what, I gotta go this year because it's 2 years since they've done it, and you know, based off of a lot of things I'm reading and companies that I follow, like it's gonna be massive.
Oh yeah, I bet. So, there was that CinemaCon that went this past weekend. I was sorry. I'm a big cinema buff. Like I'm a big movie buff.
Oh, you went?
No, I've watched their social media, and they were playing. Warner Bros. Was giving a bunch of previews and were like releasing all these like teasers for these movies that are coming out, and it's so cool. Like I get that part I get really happy about. Like I get so excited about. So those are things I just love to see, and especially with Comic-Con coming out this year too. That's gonna be really, really good.
Well, it'll be interesting because Disney owns everything pretty much. Yeah. So they don't go to Comic-Con anymore. None of their IPs at Comic-Con, but it'll be interesting to see if they do this year.
Yeah.
Only because I know they're doing D23, and I know that Star Wars Celebration is next month.
Oh, really?
In Anaheim. Yeah. So, but it'll be interesting to see if they do something this year. I know they still do Star Wars there, but the last couple years, the last couple times they had the actual event, they didn't have a lot of like previews. They didn't have panels. You know, after buying Fox, who knows? We'll see what happens. But
my sister is a Disney blogger over there. She's like a Disney, like one of those Disney influencers. Like So her Instagram is actually This Is Our Neverland. So if you ever want to check it out, so it's very, very cool. She takes pictures with her kids and her husband, but she goes to those events. She goes to D23. She's going this year, and she goes like, it's gonna be holy, just wow. She went there before, and she just loves it every time. It's a very fun place.
I haven't gone to D23 because
I would like to go too. It's very expensive. Very expensive, but it's very. It's if you ever wanted to do it just once, I think it'd be just a worth to try.
Yeah, one of these days.
It's one of these days. Yeah, why not?
I'll wait till their stock fully tanks and they are forced to lower their prices, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah,
I'm not supporting them right now.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, anyways, let's end this episode on where we can keep chatting.
Yeah.
I know the last 20 minutes has just been about nothing.
nothing at all. Everyone left 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, no one's listening anymore. Scott's checked out. Everyone's checked out.
I'm good. I'm listening.
All right, so we'll ask the last question. Actually, I can just edit all that out. But I'll ask this last question. So we've already discussed, like, you mentioned that you're thinking about wanting to go to, like, maybe Carnival. So I guess this kind of adds into that. What would be your, like, what do you have any future plans for your character?
I really, I kind of don't at the moment. I mean, with the haircut that I have right now, it's kind of will be like this different generation. So like the Carnival character was in mind. I know everyone talks about, leaving when you're gonna leave, and I want to leave by the 50th, because the 50th will be my 10th year, and then either I just leave or I try to do something different. Like, I don't know.
It's gonna be your 10th year if you've been there for 9.
Well, it'll be my 10th. Well, technically, cut out the pandemic, it'll be my 10th. I mean, cut off the pandemic. It'll be
next year is the 49th year. The year after that, 2023.
2024
this year is the 49th. 2023 is the 50th.
Next year.
Is the 50th? Okay, well,
yeah,
then I got that.
They cut the pandemic.
Right.
Yes, that's right. So that's why I wanted to, like, do that. And so I want to do that character, like Carnival character. I'm not 100% sure if I want to. I kind of, like I said, I love what I do out there. I want to do it. I want to work, like, go back into this Hostel character, and I want to do something new. I feel like I'm fully done yet. I want to do more work over there, do different bits, and then see what happens, and see where it goes. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of going with the flow and seeing where it happens, and see. And if I audition, I don't get the character from Carnival, then I'll go back to Hostel. It's like, it's always there for me. It's gonna be there, and I'll always. That's why I like how, like, I made a character where it's gonna be stable, and then it'll be there for me to come back. Nice. So that's kind of where the plan is at for me, as far as like Knott's career.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, look forward to seeing that this year, man, because I'm gonna be there a couple times. So
yeah, definitely will be there, and we'll be doing something.
Be able to go a couple times too.
Yeah, I'd definitely be doing something insane and something crazy along the lines.
Cool. Well, hopefully you'll have a new running partner. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see it from there too. That's another thing, is that if I'll have a running partner this year, I always have Adam Jahan too. He's always there, but like Adam Jahan could only do so many things because of his leg. He has a bad leg, and and like, I mean, I could do a lot of, like, work with him, like standing still, but like, as far as like running around, who knows? Like, maybe I'll have a running partner by then.
Well, it'd be kind of cool to have your running partner, and then you guys go and do some sort of, like, thing with him. And
that would be that's been a thought too. We've been thinking about that. It'd be kind of this full, like, family circle, and just, like, go off and do crazy shit that
family
no
of
one will do.
bags.
Yeah, exactly. A bunch of crazy bags.
Well, cool, man. Well, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
We didn't even talk about your podcast. Like, tell us about that. It's like, I know we're missing something. Okay, let's go there. Sorry, we're not ending that episode yet, guys. So sit back, get your popcorn.
Yeah.
So tell us about your podcast.
It's just a small portion of it. Just like 2019, I've really been inspired to watch podcasts. Like I've been watching a bunch of comedian podcasts. Like I'm like a big fan of like Theo Von and then Andrew Schultz. Like I've been a big fan of those. Like I just was like, oh, that's so cool if I had like a podcast and I just would just bring friends and talk shit. And so I've been thinking about it and I kind of put it to pause, and I've been thinking about like who to bring. I had a whole list, and then 2021 I was like, okay, well I'll make sure like to get all the equipment. So I got all the equipment, and I didn't really start until January of this year.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, so if I really wanted to bring my first guest was my buddy Alex Estrada, and he's been my best friend for 10 plus years. And then I was like it was really hard to get him on because he's a wedding photographer, so he's booked. Was like super booked. So and then I realized that Aaron Frame was leaving, and Aaron's been my friend for years, and I'm very close to him. And I was like, oh, dude, I can get him on, because I knew he was leaving to Tennessee. I was like, dude, just let me get you on. And then it did. And I did not know it was going to be these kind of long form conversations. I kind of wanted to be, but I did not know if it was going to work out or not. And then Aaron Frame was my first person that I did it for like 3 hours. And I was like, oh shit, dude, we talked for like 3 hours. And then I did that, and I did another one that I kept on doing it, another like close to 3 hours, and another one, it went on. And there was like, surprisingly, I never had any complaints about it for the long hours of conversation I had. And it just was turned to this thing. Like I was just like bringing, besides different friends outside of Haunt, I brought friends from Haunt to talk about their story, to bring so much detail. And that was kind of my goal, just to like you guys brought these other these vets and these other monsters to bring kind of their perspective of how they started and what their character story was like. And like it's kind of the same thing with me, but like I kind of bring out different stories, because like a different person, different sides like outside of their life and what they do. Like I talked to like Michael Beggs recently. I just talked about him, about how he did how he got his clothing company started. And it was the same thing with Aaron Frame, like how he got what his personality is like too outside of Haunt, how he lives in Tennessee and what he does out there. So like those kind of things I love just getting into. I'm like just this curious person, because like also too, it's not only getting to know them, but it gets to know me as well, because you like how my relationship is towards them. And we kind of like throw off stories, and those stories turn to like different subjects. So like it's really cool. Like I've been doing it since January, and I can't believe I'm still doing it here. I never knew how far I was going to get, but
I dig it, because like you said, it is just a conversation. It's like we have it to where we kind of we kind of have it like a conversation, but it's more like in a timeline fashion. That's kind of what it ended up being. It was mostly just it started out being like we're just gonna talk to people, but it just kind of naturally went into the timeline of their Haunt career, and some of them into what they do currently. And we, I first I wanted to strictly just keep it Haunt, keep it character related, and keep it Haunt related. But then we got Wade on, and then we got my running partner on, and I was like, we can't leave out the things. We didn't really get into what Wade does, because he's very he likes to keep his life on the DL.
Oh, the private.
So thank you. But my running partner has done a lot, and I'm like, I learned a lot from his podcast of like, shit, I didn't even know you did that. Like he's done a lot of stuff, and I'm like, we have to keep this. We have to do it to where it's like I want to bring in and talk about what they do currently, and it also gives people a kind of a perspective of like what Haunt can do for you later on in life. Because if I didn't do Haunt, I probably wouldn't be doing what I do now. So it's like same thing with Chris. Chris was the same way. He was like, honestly, I learned a lot of stuff at Haunt that led him into his acting career now. You know, so it's I felt like it just naturally went into that. So I think it's great that you had this, you know, conversation. So.
Yeah, it's very
influence on you than you really realize.
You what?
Yeah.
It has a lot more influence on you than you really realize.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, and it's funny because like I listen to Scott's and like, you know, and I listen to Beggs and you know, Naomi's and all that, and I saw like when Scott was like, oh yeah, well, it's 3 hours long. I'm like, who's gonna fucking listen to 3 hours? You know, and I listened to 2.5 hours of it. You know. And same thing with Beggs. I ended up listening to half of his and didn't realize I was listening to half. I was working out while, you know, listening to it. And it's
it's like that. It's just like I want it to be more of like, I've had people tell me like, dude, like I have a long drive at home or I went to a trip that took me like hours, like, and listening to your podcast was so entertaining. Like I just had Trey message me recently. He goes like, dude, for my day to go through, like I listen to your podcast and it just gets through my hours of working when I'm working at the mouse, and I'm like, dude, I like that. That's kind of like what I'm glad that's what I'm here for. It's like to entertain those kind of people and listen. They listen to those stories. You know? Like I think that's kind of like the goal of it. It's just have this natural conversation. I always tell them in the beginning. I tell them like it's just like us talking in the parking lot, except we have microphones. And
that's exactly what I told Scott. I'm like, dude, we talk haunt. That's what we do is talk haunt before. Yeah. And I'm like, let's just record it. Why not? You know?
Right not, right? And then but they get like so much detail of it, and then they go off, and like I don't ask them for like it, you know, not to go into detail. They want to do it, they want to, and that's their own choice. And then there's people that go, like I brought people on, they bring in so much into detail what they like about Han, what they do as their character, and you know, stuff and other subjects. It just like I like those. I like those kind of conversations because like I get to know the person as well more. Like I got to like I kind of knew Vi a little more when I had him on, and that was kind of 3 hours, and I just was like I got to know him more when he does bandit work. So those are kind of things like I like, and then we, you know, me and him like being goofy and just stupid, and it's so fun to do too, like especially when you have a friend like that. And I like those things. I like that, and that's kind of cool with you guys too. It's like you two are very close, and you guys can act like, you know, silly around each other, you know, banter back and forth. It's just like
this is probably the first episode where there wasn't a whole lot of banter between him and I, because it usually strays off like that, then it comes back and it'll stray off again. I just realized that.
I watch you guys. I listen to your guys' podcast like every single week, and I'm always like I'm always so intrigued like what's coming on next week. I watched the Bobby All Right one, or is it Bobby
All right.
It's on Monday,
and like I'm like you know, I didn't get to go through it. Like I think I'm about like 30 minutes, like almost 30 minutes done from it. And I'm like, that's cool. Like I love to listen to those kind of stories. Like those are interesting to see, because that's a guy that started in the 80s. And you know, listening how it was, I'm like, dude, how that was like in the 80s too. And interesting. So those kind of things I'm very curious, and I love learning about. It's a very good sense of knowledge.
We're gonna bring in more. I want to focus a lot on the vets in the next few months, because I think it'd be good to bring in some more history. I mean, we only have the two. And we have access to so many. It's like we should start bringing them in.
It's just a matter of me trying to get contact info from and tracking them down.
All of them have nothing to do with haunt now. So
exactly. So dude, bring them. It's like it's interesting to learn, and plus you guys know from what their experience is like, and you guys kind of understand, you relate to like, oh yeah, I remember how it's like back in the 90s. I'm like, I totally understand.
Well, it's crazy too, because I'm sure Scott can relate. My memory is horrible now, obviously, because I'm getting older, but it's like I don't remember a lot of shit from when, even when I worked, let alone haunt before that. So it's kind of like when you speak with these people that are and from that history, like when we were talking with Wade, like you learn a lot too. So it's entertaining. It's almost like learning it right then and there too. You know, he's like, "Oh, you were there." And it's like, I don't fucking remember that shit.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
Wade
exactly.
will tell me stories of shit that I did. I'm like, I did that. Same thing with Scott. It's like, you did that.
Yeah. Like I have
I don't
people tell me
remember
the stories too. Like
yeah.
I had like I said, my buddy Vi, like he told me stories like what I did back in 2015, and I was laughing so hard because like I'm like, dude, I did that dumb stuff. Like that, and then I'm like, dude, I remember that, but like
Yeah.
it was just one of those nights where it's a blur, and you just But once people like kind of refresh your memory, we're like, oh yeah, I remember that. So it's kind of cool to like people. Those kind of people will remember those kind of stories and refresh your memory.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how that happens.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
All right, dude. Well, it was great talking with you for sure.
Yeah, it's great chatting with you guys. I'm so glad that I got to chat with you guys and be on here. So I always, like I said, I always watch you guys. You guys are just rocking it with this on YouTube too, and just keep on doing it. I hope you guys bring more people that are like in that vet side and bring more of their perspectives. So I'm very like
I said, it's a matter of really being able to get in contact with them.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate you guys bringing me on. It's very, very, it's an honor. So thank you guys.
Of course,
thank you.
man. Keep doing what you do, man, and we'll keep listening, and
Yeah.
So, well, all right, guys. So I think we'll end it here. Since we're at 2.5 hours. I think you're our longest one.
Oh well, there
Bob,
kind of ironic of what my podcast is like. So it's kind of like around that. They're like, and then people when you post it, they're gonna be like, oh, of course it's gonna be 2 hours at 3 hours. It's just like his.
Yeah. And I won't edit it. I'll just keep it all in. Well, I'll edit the beginning part, but the rest. We'll leave all that Comic-Con convention shit.
Yeah, those kind of stuff. You can edit out whatever.
So yeah. So if you viewers got checked out in that part, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
It was entertaining to us.
Yeah, very much.
In case you didn't see the beginning of Bobby's, we don't care. We're entertained. We don't care.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh man,
yeah, that's funny. That's
All
funny.
right, guys. Well, thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next episode. So share this, like it, smash it, do whatever you got to do, man. Just get it out there and yeah.
Smash and like.
Smash that subscribe and share and ring that bell and do whatever else you got to do.
Yes.
Questions and stuff on our Instagrams.
That's right. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.